Okay, we're going to get started with our proclamations, and the first one is on human trafficking prevention. So I will start with that, and whoever is here to represent, I think there's a group if you want to come on up, and you can kind of stand behind, we'll read it. And then if you have any other additional words, I'd be happy to have you make some comments. Whereas human trafficking is the use of force, fraud, or coercion to compel a person into commercial sex acts or labor services against their will. Exploitation of a minor for commercial sex is human trafficking, regardless of whether any form of force, fraud, or coercion was used. There is no such thing as child prostitution. And whereas the United States was founded upon the principle that all people are created with the inalienable right to freedom, and added the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, making slavery illegal. And whereas slavery within the United States today is most often found in the form of forced labor and sex trafficking, which weakens our social fabric, increases violence and organized crime, and debases our humanity, is found within our own community. Whereas Iowa has seen a concerning rise in labor trafficking cases, particularly among immigrant children from Central America, sadly, sexual exploitation often goes hand in hand with labor trafficking, which can also involve illegal arms and drug trafficking in Iowa. And whereas, despite increased advocacy and resources, there remains a stark gap between the number of survivors receiving assistance and the successful prosecution of perpetrators, with fewer than 5% of reported trafficking cases in the Midwest resulting in criminal convictions in 2023. And whereas, despite increased awareness and efforts, human trafficking continues to be underreported and often goes undetected, with the true extent likely underestimated due to its clandestine nature, the ability to hide it in rural areas, and the reluctance of victims to come forward. Studies suggest that only about 1% of trafficking victims are identified. And whereas every business, community organization, faith community, family, and individual can make a difference by choosing products that are not made by forced labor, by working to protect our young people from sexual exploitation, by addressing the problem of internet sex trafficking and pornography, and by becoming more aware of the problem and possible solutions. Now, therefore, I, Connie Bozen, on behalf of the City Council and the citizens of Des Moines, do hereby proclaim January 2025 as Human Trafficking Prevention and Awareness Month, and encourage all our citizens to become more informed on the growing problem, to be vigilant and report suspicious activity, and to work towards solutions to end trafficking in all its forms in our community. If you see something that doesn't look right, take action and call the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 1-800 or 888-3737-888. So again, if anyone would like to speak to this, I thank you for the work you do in bringing awareness of this and the ongoing issues that face some of our people, which is very unfortunate. So is anyone wanting to speak? If you would like to.
I'm Lenshin with Chains Interrupted, and Aaron is with me. And I just want to encourage you, it feels extremely overwhelming, sex trafficking, labor trafficking, and how do we approach this? But literally, it's people just like you that are making a difference. We did a training at the Eastern Iowa Airport. 10 days later, the police officer at the airport kept a minor handicapped, physically and mentally handicapped girl from getting on an airplane with a trafficker because he knew what to look for. We had a 70-year-old farmer in small town right around here. He went to a convenience store. I won't name the name. He saw one girl looked like she didn't belong with the man she was with. And we don't recommend this, but he punched the guy and sat on him until the police got there. The farmer, 70 years old, he knew what to look for. And that day, two 14-year-old girls that stopped at a small gas station in small town Iowa were rescued. They'd been drugging them and driving them around the country and selling them every day. So while it's overwhelming, it really is people just like you. We have 18 presentations at Chains Interrupted. So if you just reach out to us, and we'd be happy to come and give our presentation to any of your groups. So thanks so much.
I don't know if anyone is here from Big Brothers, Big Sisters. If not, we'll just go ahead. Oh, okay. Oh, there you go. Okay. How are you? You. Okay, whereas Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Central Iowa, Iowa's largest mentoring organization, was founded in 1967 and started its community-focused mission driven by a network of businessmen, educators, and youth activists that brought the growing national Big Brother movement to Des Moines. And whereas the founders, led by David Schwartz, John Esses, Judge Luther Glanton, and the Honorable Robert D. Ray, focused on supporting fatherless boys of all races, backgrounds, and life experiences in the maturing in Des Moines Metro. And whereas in 1976, Big Brothers of Des Moines merged with Big Sisters program of the Greater Des Moines YWCA and the Polk County Social Services to form Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Central Iowa. And whereas today recognized as one of the top federation members of the Big Brothers, Big Sisters of America, Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Central Iowa serves over 700 families through mentoring and other family supportive referral services. Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Central Iowa continues its mission of building vital relationships for Des Moines youth and people committed to their development. And whereas we celebrate over 50 years of service that Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Central Iowa has given to youth in Iowa, serving over 20,000 families since creation and encouraging participating youth to avoid risky behaviors while also seeing a significant increase in academic success. Now, therefore, I, Connie Bozen, on behalf of the City Council and the citizens of Des Moines, do hereby proclaim January 2025 as the National Mentoring Month. And with that, I will turn it over. If you'd like to say anything, I do know they have your new building. It's a great facility. If you haven't seen it, it's on Grand Avenue.
2130.
Right. They took it over and they have totally redone it. It's a phenomenal facility. So again, thank you for what you do for youth and giving them a good start.
And we have two.
Okay.
So here this month we were featured urban the need. So then if you out give to you give to our youth build a lot of our community today are struggling. Youth leave feel build caring.
So if anybody has any time and wants to be a mentor, you can get in touch with the Big Brothers, Big Sisters. And so thank you. And let me. As soon as I get my mic on. The January 13th, 2025 City Council meeting. And would you please take the roll?
Bozen,
Here.
Simonson,
Here.
Voss,
Here.
Coleman,
Here.
Westergaard, here. Mandelbaum,
Here.
Gatto.
Here.
We have a quorum.
You want me to vote? The next item is I. It's for the council member Mike Simonson to be appointed as the mayor pro tem for the calendar year of 2025.
Move. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Simon. Is he up? Simon.
Did you want to vote for yourself?
You can vote.
Oh,
Yeah, you can vote. Okay. Motion carries. Okay, the next item is approving the agenda as presented and/or as amended. And we have on the consent agenda items, 4Q is withdrawn, inspections incomplete. 17I is added, approving the primary and alternate members to be appointed to serve on the Metropolitan Planning Organization for the 2025 calendar year. Number 23 is updated, added additional email comments. The regular agenda items are 34 and 34A is updated zoning conditions. 34B was added, final consideration of ordinance above, waiver requested by the applicant, requires 6 votes. 35B has been added, the final consideration of ordinance above, waiver requested by the applicant, requires 6 votes. Item 49 is updated, it's a speaker's list. With that,
Move approval.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded, please vote.
7 yes.
Motion carries. The next item is approving the consent agenda. Those are items 3 through 32. These items are routine items and will be enacted by one roll call vote without separate discussion unless pursuant to council rules. Council requests an item to be removed or to be considered separately.
Move approval.
It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
7 yes.
Motion carries. That takes us to item 34 is the beginning of our hearings. The first one is item 34 on request from Luis E. Ochoa, owner, to rezone 617 Scott Avenue from DXR Downtown District to limited MX3 Mixed Use District to allow a vehicle maintenance and repair minor use. A is first consideration of ordinance above. B is final consideration of ordinance above. Waiver requested by the applicant requires 6 votes. The first people we hear from is the parties of interest, the applicant for rezoning and those within 250 feet of the property to be rezoned. Each will be given 5 minutes, and the second would be germane comments from the general public, 2 minutes per person. Is there anyone wishing to speak to this?
Seeing none, I'll move item 34, 34A, and 34B.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
7 yes.
Motion carries. Item 35 on request from Asaka Arama Araka Tain Mang from the Buddhist Society for property located in the vicinity of 4211 East 38th Street to amend the Plan DSM, creating our tomorrow comprehensive plan to revise the future land use classification of the property from low-density residential and parks open space to public, semi-public, and to rezone the property from N2A neighborhood district and F flood district to limited P2 public, civic, and institutional district to allow use of the property for an assembly, place of worship, and use. A is first consideration of ordinance above. B is final consideration of ordinance above. Waiver requested by the applicant requires 6 votes. Same amount of time. Is there anyone wishing to speak to this?
Seeing none, I will move item 35, 35A, and 35B.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Leave them right there.
We passed it.
It's already, has everybody voted?
No,
Okay, they were delayed.
I think.
Are you here to speak to that item? If not, we didn't realize you were Yes. Are you here for item 35? If not, let's go ahead. I guess we've already voted.
We voted.
On this one?
Coleman.
So if you're here for 35, the East 38.
7 yes.
It's been voted on.
It has been approved.
It passed.
Okay. Okay, we'll go on to item 36. On request from Steinbeck Properties LLC, Usman Haq, officer to rezone property in the vicinity of 955 24th Street from N5 Neighborhood District to limited N52 Neighborhood District to allow construction of a two-household residential dwelling duplex. A is first consideration of ordinance above. B is final consideration of the ordinance above. Waiver requested by the applicant requires 6 votes. First is the parties in interest, applicant for rezoning, and those within 250 feet of the property to be rezoned. They will be given up to 5 minutes to speak. Second would be germane comments from the general public, 2 minutes per person, 20 minutes maximum. The first, is anyone here to speak that's a party of interest or within 250 feet of the property? If you would like to come forward and state your name and address or zone, or just ward.
Hi, my name's Kim Hansen, and I live at 2132 Olive Avenue. And I'm here tonight on behalf of myself and 31 other concerned Woodland Heights neighbors. Many neighbors and the WHO turned in comment cards and letters to planning and zoning in opposition of this change. Our initial concern was that if a duplex was built, it would most likely become a rental property with a vacant landlord. As more information was gathered, it also became an overdensity concern. After speaking with Mayor Bozen, who took the time to visit our neighborhood yesterday, we are not necessarily opposed to more density in all scenarios, but more so wanting to ensure that additional density goes into locations and properties that makes the most sense within our neighborhood. 955 24th Street is only accessible from a small alley behind the property, with 4 other existing properties sharing that alley. Additionally, to those of us that live at the dead-end area of that neighborhood, the intersection of 24th and Olive is our only way in and out. 955 sits approximately 62 feet from this intersection. Higher density development, specifically at this location, would only further congest traffic. We would like the city to support development of this particular property, honoring our 2013 WHO Character Plan. It stated concentrated efforts to infill single-family homes would be the top priority. We feel single-family infill would best serve this particular property. In 2005, 20 new homes were built within a block of 955 24th on lots that had sat vacant for 40 years due to construction of the freeway. Those 20 new homeowners at the time not only invested in a new home in this specifically hard-hit area, but they also invested in the promise from the city that future development efforts would keep single-family homes a top priority when possible. Of the 45 neighbors I personally reached out to, 31 voiced their opposition and signed a letter that I submitted to all of you.
Thank you, Kim.
Yes, and
Go ahead.
I'd like to ask those neighbors that are in attendance to please stand that supported my letter.
Okay, thank you.
let's do
So the next, we have to go to the next
Yep.
speaker. Is anyone else within 250 feet? Or party of interest? Okay, if there's no one else to speak? Oh, I thought I already, any of the general public, anybody else wishing to speak to this? Any other person would like to speak, you can speak for 2 minutes per person. Well, and for, or, you want to state your name and your ward?
My name is Lila Dozier. I'm in Ward 3 in Woodland Heights. As far as this rezoning, the neighbors are opposed and the Woodland Heights organization is opposed. I purchased my home in Woodland Heights because of the trees. I live in an urban forest and I love it. I was pleasantly surprised at our neighborhood planning meetings on the sellability assets that everyone in the group said that they moved here for two reasons: the trees and the garden space, and the unique and affordable historical homes. Both neighborhood plans of 91 and 2013 said the same thing: the trees and the affordable historic homes. First meetings with Invest Des Moines also stressed what's good about the neighborhood: the trees, the garden space, affordable, unique homes. Please do not let these plans just sit on a shelf and not initiate correct zoning for the neighborhood to thrive. I would like to stress the mature trees and the garden space for families, a place for children to play in the backyard under the safety and shade of the trees. Cutting down large trees to replat larger lots into small infill lots with even smaller houses will not increase the value of our properties as a whole. It makes the area less desirable and decreases property values and desirability as a whole. Woodland Heights has always been very diverse and
Thank you, Lila. Anyone else wishing to speak to this?
Hello, my name is Usman Haq. I am the owner of the property, and I'm requesting it could be rezoned. It's a lot and a half, so there's probably just two is probably the maximum that I'm requesting. And if the city can consider that, that'd be great.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I will move this item. So I read the letter that the neighbors submitted. I've looked at this particular area. This is asking for a duplex on what is one lot and an awkward shaped parcel. So it's probably not possible to build two different homes here, but it is possible on this lot and a half to have two residents, and that's done with this particular zoning. One of the things that comes up in these conversations quite frequently is concern about different types of housing and what it does to the quality of the neighborhood. And duplexes can add to the value of a neighborhood. I was thinking about it because I don't spend a lot of time thinking about duplexes, but we've had a couple duplex rezonings that we've recently approved. I think this is the second or third that's come to us in the last few months. And in my neighborhood, something I don't even notice, but I live 4 houses down from a row of 4 duplexes. And it's the type of thing that day in and day out, I don't notice because it's just part of the neighborhood and allows folks to live in the neighborhood. In some cases, they might not be able to find a home. In some cases, they're rentals. In some cases, it's owner-occupied on one side with a rental on the other, and it allows someone to be able to afford a home in the neighborhood. So I think this type of housing is compatible with our neighborhoods and is the type of thing that we've approved regularly in the past, and I would support it in this case. So I'm going to move item 36, 36A, and 36B.
Second.
I think the one thing on the duplex too, because I did take the time to go out, is that when I saw the drawings and got back and saw the drawings, it is a very odd lot, quite honestly, and it looks to the standard of the character of the neighborhood when I saw the drawing. If that's the standards that we are going to have, I understand the single-family home and the need and what we're trying to do in that neighborhood, and appreciate it, but I will be supporting it based on what I saw. And
And I should also add, we're going to be investing, if you were at our work session this morning, we're adding Woodland Heights to Invest ESM. So this neighborhood is going to receive some significant investment from the city to support, I think, the pieces that folks are talking about, investment in existing single-family homes.
And Mayor, if I may, I also support this primarily because it's larger than a single lot. It is against 235. I think it's an appropriate use.
I agree with the comments that have been made. I would encourage the applicant to stay in touch with the neighbors. Almost never is the building the problem. It is the landlord and the people that are there. So I encourage you tonight to exchange numbers and make sure that there's an open line of communication that can solve about every problem that might come up. But I doubt the building structure is going to be an issue. I live on a street with a ton of duplexes, and I never think about it, like Josh said.
okay, it's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
7 yes.
Motion carries. Next item is 37 on the land exchange agreement with Galinsky Family Real Estate, LLC, and the Gary L. Galinsky Trust and Mindy Sue Galinsky Trust for property located at 3028 Maury Street and 3016 Maury Street for the Southeast Connector, Southeast 30th Street to U.S. Highway 65 project. Council communication number 25-010. Germane comments from the general public, 2 minutes per person to speak, 10 minutes maximum. Anyone wishing to speak to this? Seeing no one?
All right, I will move item 37.
So moved and seconded, please vote.
7 yes.
It's done.
Item 38, application to Iowa Economic Development Authority for community development block grant funds to prepare for, prevent, and respond to the coronavirus CDBG CV funding. Council communication number 25-002. Again, germane comments from the general public, 2 minutes per person to speak. Anyone wishing to speak to this?
Hello, my name is Adam Callanan. I live in Ward 3. First, to clarify, it's not really clear from the thing on the agenda, but this is about a pallet village shelter, a type of homeless camp basically being proposed for the city. I think this is a good idea to be working towards. I think it's been a long time coming that the city has been considering this. I'm glad to see this step. I am a bit disappointed that, along with this, we haven't had any kind of update on the directives that the city manager was committed to doing as part of the broader work on homelessness that the city committed to. I haven't seen an update on those directives lately. There's also some concerns with this. Again, I think it's a good project. I think there's a lot of good thought going into this, but I would really ask the city try to meet with some people from like queer organizations like One Iowa. There are some concerns about some of the phrasing about how LGBTQ populations might be handled like separately in this, which I think is well-intentioned, but if not done right, could lead to discomfort and issues in different ways. Let's also just want to keep in mind that this village is not built yet and camps are still being demolished. Regardless of the city's new enforcement, there are still things on record right now that are still being demolished in the meantime. Thank you.
If there's no other speakers, I'd move this. I would say the night that I'm sorry, did you want to speak?
It was almost like I was summoned. They mentioned One Iowa. Howdy, y'all. My name is Max. I live at 716 17th Street, and I'm the executive director of One Iowa and One Iowa Action. similar to what Adam mentioned, I wanted to talk a little bit about our concerns about this funding. So what I see is this is a way that you all are responding to backlash of the ordinance, and I hear you all listening to our concerns about how houselessness disproportionately impacts the LGBTQ community, as does policing and police brutality. Those comments have not changed, and we don't think that this resolves that. But to echo those sentiments, I would want to have a conversation about the logistics of separate but similar or equal housing for LGBTQ individuals. This is something that presents quite a logistical issue. We're really concerned about what the process for intake would be, and also putting LGBTQ people in separate like housing or accommodations often is where we see a lot of violence and discrimination happen, and we see this throughout systems. So overall, we would really like to continue to have conversations with y'all about how to better support LGBTQ houseless folks within systems. I know from reading through some of the materials that one of the things is that you all would be interested in working with some of the organizations in Des Moines that provide services to houseless folks. And we want to make sure that if any of those things are done, they're done with organizations that have LGBTQ affirming practices and where LGBTQ people feel safe. So those were a couple of the things that caught our attention when we saw that there would be separate housing for special populations, because as we know, separating people of marginalized identities is quite a fraught way to approach a housing crisis like this, but we recognize that this is a way that you all are trying to meet the needs of the community. So happy to continue to chat.
I
Go ahead. Sorry.
Two quick things. I'll move it. I would refer the comments to the manager's office. We have a number of things going on as part of our commitment to homelessness. A couple of people said this might be in a response to the ordinance. It actually, we passed this the night of the ordinance. It's in our minutes from September. This is part of the plan. That's why we're applying for these funds. It's what many of us that night supported, and we're moving forward to it. So this is indeed an update on that as to one of the strategies that we passed that night.
So I will second the motion, but just a quick comment. So this is a great alternative that we have talked about well before any ordinance. So I definitely want to make that clear, as long as well as Councilman Coleman did. We also talked about for this neighborhood, it is in Ward 4, that we would have a wraparound service for the entire neighborhood for this for this, not only for the pallet homes, but for the entire neighborhood would be able to take advantage of the services that the pallet homes will have. So this is something that'll be really good for the neighborhood. We've had discussions with them down there, with some of the key players. They're in favor of it. I think it's a good alternative to what we've been working on. So I'm happy to second the motion.
You have some comments?
Yeah, I appreciate the work that's gone into this. I think we should be looking at all solutions, and the pallet home certainly fits into that. I think the key question, in that I don't have the answers, I don't know if staff do at this point, but it is the services that go with projects like this. I know, to Councilmember Gatto's point, I mean, we've been talking about this for, I think, over a year and a half, and the folks who build the pallet homes, you know, their recommendation, I think, for a pallet home village of about 40 is that you need to budget almost $1 million for an organization to provide the services that go along with this. And as I read this application, this is for the capital costs of the village, but we would still have to figure out the social service and annual operating budget that goes along with that. I think that's work that is worth doing, and if we get these dollars, I hope that we will continue to pursue that solution, because I think solutions like this can be a positive, and if done right, will be a piece of what we need to do to move forward as a community.
And that's why I think if the manager would like to speak, because this is just for the grants, so we still have more work to be done.
Mayor and council, I appreciate the additional conversation on this, and there is a very timely decision that's in front of us. We have about a month to determine if we're going to be able to find the partners that we're going to need to operate this site, or even alternative sites if there are others that are identified. And so we do need the service providers out there that we've been talking to, and possibly others, to step forward and talk with us about resources and ability and interest to assist in some fashion, because we believe the only way it will be successful is in some type of a partnership, more than likely with 3 or 4 organizations within the community. So we, in a very timely way, need those organizations to step forward and let us know that they would be willing to participate.
And we'd also look at this as a private-public partnership also.
Right, we're looking at all alternatives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For the ongoing expenses, we would look for private donors and private partnership
Yeah,
to do
and
that, correct?
that is correct. And in fact, it would need to be in a significant way,
Exactly.
given our budget constraints. So that would mean working together to fundraise as a group, not just a taxpayer-associated funding.
Councilman Bus.
Yes, just to clarify, we started talking about this type of transitional housing in late 2022.
Okay, so with that, it's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Seven yes.
Motion carries. Next item is 39 on 2025 citywide traffic calming improvements, resolution approving plans, specifications, form of contract, documents, engineer's estimate, receive and file bids, and designating the lowest responsible bidder as Caliber Concrete LLC, Jason Martin, owner, for $113,354.35. It's the council communication number 25-007. A is the approval of contract and bond. The general public can make comment only on the plan, specifications, form of documents, engineer's estimate, or lower bidder designation, and those will be the only comments to be considered germane. 2 minutes per person to speak, up to 10 minutes. Anyone wishing to speak to this?
See none, Your Honor. I'll move 39 and 39A.
It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Seven yes.
Item 40 on East 4th Street improvements from north of East Market Street to East Court Avenue. Resolution approving plans, specifications, form of contract documents, engineer's estimate, receive and file bids, and designating the lowest responsible bidder as Correll Contractor Incorporated, Grant S. Correll, President, for $1,523,837.50. Council communication number 25-008. A is the approval of contract and bond. Anyone wishing to speak to this?
Mayor
Councilman
Boson,
Boston.
a question for Steve Neighbor, if he's available.
Go ahead and ask your question, and we'll call him in as you're
Yeah,
asking.
sure. So this will be the third year that East 4th will be worked on. And so I believe the timing is such that the expectation will be that this will be completed in the 2025 calendar year. So I just want to understand completely how that's going to operate. So.
Sure, and appreciate if we can get those comments in advance and we can get those answers quicker for you, but I have him coming now.
So there's been several businesses in that area that have been impacted with the 2 previous years. So this will be the third year.
Few minutes here.
He's got to run.
I was going to say.
Are you out of breath, Steve?
All right. Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, Steve Neighbor, Des Moines City Engineer. And yes, regarding East 4th Street, the bulk of the work would be done this year. The completion date ultimately is spring of 26, but I would think most of the reconstruction work, and again, it's complete reconstruction, so we're tearing up the roadway, putting in all new curbs, sidewalks, new pavement, basically the same cross-section that folks see to the south. And so the bulk of that work would be done this year, but the ultimate completion date is spring of 26. We took the last contract up to kind of mid-block to try and get to a point where we could at least provide access to some of those businesses along there who have undoubtedly felt the pain of all this reconstruction, all this work that's going on in this area. So try to at least stage this.
So you think it will be done in 2025?
It ultimately, it will be done spring of 26, but I think most of the work, the worst work, the reconstruction and the paving should be done in 25. So.
Will the road be open at the end of 25, I guess, would be the question. If you're a business owner, can we have assurances that the majority of the road will be open by the end of 25? Or
the road should be open by the end of 25, but they'll have access from the south. That's why we took the improvements up to that building there. So they'll have access, but we should have the road paving done by 2025, yes. Yeah. But there still could be work along the sides, you know, with the bioswales and plantings and, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm happy to move item 40 and 40A.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Seven, yes.
Motion carries. Item 41, on Euclid Avenue improvements from Des Moines River to York Street. Resolution approving plans, specifications, form of contract documents, engineer's estimate, receive and file bids, and designating the lowest responsible bidder as OMG Midwest, Inc., doing business as Des Moines Asphalt and Paving. Kevin Bragg, President, for $3,883,806.45. Council Communication Number 25-009. A is approval of contract and bond. Anyone wishing to speak to this? Not. I'll open it up to the council. Okay, you have 2
Carol
minutes.
I won't need it. Carol Maher, Ward 3, Mayor Bozen, City Council. Thank you. This is really fantastic news. I look forward to these changes. I think they'll be great for that neighborhood. And did you notice how far under engineer's estimate this one and the previous one were? Yeah. Thank you.
We hope to continue that.
With that, I'll move item 41 and 41A.
second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Seven, yes.
Motion carries. Item 42 on Southwest First Street Bridge Park improvement. Resolution approving plans, specifications, form of contract documents, engineer's estimate, and receive and file bids. Council Communication Number 25-011. Anyone wishing to speak to this? Now I'll turn it over back to the
I'll move
council.
item 42, Your Honor.
Been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Seven, yes.
Motion carries, and that is the end of the hearings of 5:33. Next item is 33, on vacation of the north-south alley right-of-way lying west of and adjoining 2116 Searle Street. Was that?
Did somebody pull that? Or?
It's second consideration.
Oh.
Seeing none, I would move item 33, and I'd like to waive the, pursuant to 42A, waive the third reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Seven, yes.
Motion carries. Item 43 is a review of zoning board of adjustment decision conditionally granting a variance to a separation distance required to allow use of the property at 3614 6th Avenue for a bar use within 150 feet of a place of worship use. Choose one alternative below. A, the City Council remands the decision in order to the Zoning Board of Adjustment for further study. The effective date of the board's decision will be deferred for 30 days from the date of this remand. B, as the City Council takes no action to review the decision in order, the decision of the board will become final on February 3rd, 2025. Or C, the City Council declines to remand the decision to the Zoning Board of Adjustment. The decision of the board becomes final on this date.
Seeing no other comments, I would move item 43 and 43C.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Six yes, one abstain.
Motion carries. 44, amending Chapter 114 of the Municipal Code regarding traffic regulation changes as follows. Council Communication Number 25-005. A is parking correction modification, Center Street between 31st Street and 30th Street. B, corner clearance parking restrictions. 1 is Southwest 2nd Street and Dunham Avenue. 2 is Southwest 5th Street and Emma Avenue. 3 is Southeast 8th Street and East Bell Avenue. 4 is Southeast 8th Street and Emma Avenue. 5 is 14th Street and Innes Avenue. 6 is Brattleboro Avenue and 28th Street. 7 is College Avenue and 61st Street. 8 is Douglas Avenue and East 42nd Street. 9 is Rollins Avenue and East 40th Street. And 10 is Timber Lane and William Street. Anyone wishing?
I will move, I'll move 44, A and B, 1 through 10, and pursuant to Rule 42A, I'll waive the second and third reading.
Been moved and seconded. Please vote.
7 yes.
Motion carries. Item 45 is amending Section 114-1 of the Municipal Code to correct or update certain definitions. Council Communication Number 25-004.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Please vote.
7 yes.
Motion carries. Item 46 is amending Chapter 114 of the Municipal Code to establish public parking rates for the 1200 Mulberry City Parking Garage and to change the upper limit of the city's prepaid special event parking rate. Council Communication Number 25-012. Open up any discussion from the council? It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
7 yes.
Motion carries. Item 47 is amending the Municipal Code Section 114-358A relating to an increase in the distance of parking restrictions and crosswalks. Council Communication Number 25-003. Any discussion on this item?
I asked the question, and I guess I didn't know because I've seen multiple cars parked closer than 2 feet to a driveway. But so that is our current code, correct? And that is in residential neighborhoods, and we do enforce that then, or we don't.
So we need to know when.
Okay.
It has been enforced in the past. I know of a street that it has been worked on.
I will move 47 and pursuant to Rule 42A, I will waive the second and third reading.
Been moved and seconded. Please vote.
7 yes.
Motion carries. Item 48 is amending Chapter 134 and 135 of the Municipal Code relating to electronic and multi-vision displays, zoning variances, and Type 1 design alternatives.
I'll move 48 and pursuant to Rule 42A, we'll waive the second and third reading.
It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
7 yes.
Motion carries. The next item is our public speaking portion, and we provide speakers under the public speaking portion the opportunity to address the council for up to 3 minutes each, up to 20 speakers for a total of 1 hour agenda. Speakers will be called forward individually, and we ask everyone to please state their name and address or ward prior to providing comments. Please keep comments germane and avoid references to personalities or character attacks, as those types of comments do not contribute to the purpose for which this public forum exists. As a reminder to the council and the public, this public speaking time is not a time for the council to engage in discussion. Matters requiring attention will receive appropriate staff or council follow-up at a time after the meeting. And thank you for your support of Des Moines. And I'm going to first have our city manager read a statement.
Thank you, Mayor. So as many of you know, this year's budget presents an enormous challenge. We are currently facing a $17 million shortfall in our budget for fiscal year 26 as a direct result of the reductions of our property tax revenue growth, combined with the rising cost of services and materials. I am committed to working diligently to find solutions that minimize the impact to both our residents who depend on our services and the staff who provide those services. After months of careful analysis of our organization, last week I made a difficult decision to lay off 2 employees. These employees primarily worked on sustainability initiatives, and I want to make it clear that work on sustainability in Des Moines did not end with those positions. For decades, subject matter experts within each of our departments have been tasked with implementing sustainable tactics in their fields of expertise that include forestry, stormwater, our facilities department, our vehicle fleet, among others. These experts that remain on staff will continue to lead implementation of our climate action and adaptation tactics. Sustainability work remains a priority, and we plan to continue efforts moving forward with staff across our organization. We will continue to lead in implementing sustainable practices into our projects and services to the community. This effort includes working diligently with our nonprofits, which will continue. Sustainability is not the responsibility of any one employee or team, but rather a commitment as an organization and a community to continue addressing the impacts of climate change. And to that goal, we remain committed. Thank you.
Okay, the first speaker will be Monica. Was she here? Because I think you said she might. Okay. Carolyn Ulanake Walker.
Not yet. Carolyn Ulanake Walker, 4111 Ingersoll Avenue, Des Moines. I am representing the Des Moines Citizens Task Force on Sustainability that started meeting almost 10 years ago in the fall of 2015. Why? Because we wanted to support the UN Climate Change Conference, COP21, in Paris. We knew Mayor Coney was going to attend to represent local government, and we believed it was time to get stuff started locally with climate. Well, the Paris Climate Agreement was passed by 194 countries and the EU. It was decided that these 194 countries would work hard at lowering the greenhouse gases and the temperature of our planet at least by 2 degrees centigrade, but hopefully 1.5 degrees centigrade, and that we could prevent a climate crisis that's coming upon us already. Well, it just came out in the newspaper yesterday that 2024 was the hottest year on record since 1850, and in the last 10 years have been the hottest consecutive years. Looking at our political climate, it's going to be very difficult to act on climate change statewide or federally. We must act locally. It will be increasingly important for cities and towns to drive their own efforts for climate action plans. And we know now that there are over 600 to 700 climate action plans in the United States, and all of them have sustainability offices. So we do need to have a sustainability office, and we need climate goals. This calls for coordinated work. If you look at the climate game plan that was in our ADAPT plan, it's on here now. Put it on, please. It says that the City of Des Moines Sustainability Office will lead overall coordination of plan implementation, and that the city's sustainability and resilience team that's going to be chosen includes city staff from multiple departments that will focus on activating the plan through city operations and policies. But the office itself is the one that will lead in the implementation. And then, of course, the community allies would include nonprofit people and interested community members, along with the climate action funding team that will help look for funds. So this calls for coordinating all the work at the city departments and with citizens, but most of all, having a sustainability office. And you, the city council, can and are able to fund a sustainability office. With all these here that want to see the sustainability office,
Carolyn,
please.
thank you.
Okay.
Your bell is
Oh, I didn't
bell
even,
rang.
I'm sorry.
I know it was.
I
That's
didn't
okay.
even hear it.
Katie Rock. Katie Rock.
Good evening. I'm Katie Rock. I'm a resident of Ward 1, 4521 49th Street, and I was lucky enough to sit on the ADAPT DSM steering committee. I was also lucky enough to, once upon a time, take part in the community engagement portions of the Tomorrow Plan, which was really robust, and again, was unfunded. And I fear that we're repeating that here, and that's not okay. The community cares about this. And the work of ADAPT DSM was at a critical juncture. They had just applied for a major federal funding to augment funding they've already gotten. Yes, we wanted more. We'll need more. But we do have something, and it's not clear what the game plan is if we're going to cut the sustainability office. Doing this work requires a lot of interdepartmental coordination, not just with the city, but with the county. And if there's not a single person acting as a coordinator to do that, who does that fall to? Jeremy had just finished doing a lot of community engagement, trying to recruit a citizen committee. I forget the official title. He'd been meeting with neighborhood associations. Some of those folks have been asking me, what's going on now? I can't even ask Jeremy what happens next. So that's not clear. That's not acceptable, because we've just had this robust community engagement, and we dropped the ball with the Tomorrow Plan. I don't even remember. It was over a decade ago, maybe 2 decades ago. I'm not sure. So this is unacceptable. It's not clear. Like, we can't just have everything fall on Jonathan Gano and Jonathan Swanson's shoulders. We need someone to act across all functions and departments. A major component of the ADAPT DSM was advocating for clean energy, which we've learned the city of Des Moines is not willing to engage at the Iowa Utility Commission on that. Another big component of that was electrifying buildings. Electrifying buildings is not going to happen at a citywide level without robust funding, staffing, and a strategy in place. There'll be huge headwinds to do it, and this is so deeply disappointing, especially at a time when we're watching an entire major U.S. city burn. Burn! So there's a lot of work to do. I'm going to pass the mic to the next person, but I'm also angry. So.
Okay, Sheila. Adele.
Good evening, council members. I am Sheila Canoplo-Odole. I'm a resident of Ward 1, and I live at 28, I forget now, where do I live? Sorry, 2518 Kenway Drive. I'm also a volunteer member of the Des Moines Citizen Task Force on Sustainability. I'm an appointed member of the Des Moines Food Security Task Force, and I'm also on the board of the Sustainable Iowa Land Trust. I'd like to start by asking, just show of hands, how many of you can name any of the 35 target areas on ADAPT DSM? Okay, so how are you going to implement a plan if you don't know what's in it? All right. When we first recommended that you hire sustainability staff, we did so because the research that we did showed that cities who have sustainability staff achieve their goals, and they achieve them faster. Cutting the sustainability staff, maybe other departments can handle it, but it's kind of like planning a wedding without a wedding planner. Okay, the wedding's going to go on, the wedding will happen, but a lot of stuff is going to get dropped. Okay, and it's not going to go as smoothly. It's not going to have the focus as if you have somebody there to take care of that focus, and we need to have that on sustainability. When I first started on the Sustainability Task Force, one of the first things we did, we got a greenhouse gas inventory, for those of you who might still remember that. Why? Because our idea then was we can't know where to go if we don't know where we start from, right? And then we did the benchmarking because we can't manage what we don't measure, right? Since then, we've had floods, we've had derecho. We are having increased numbers of homelessness. That's all part of sustainability too, affordable housing. And there are now thousands of refugees who are going to be coming from Los Angeles. They're going to be going mostly to the surrounding areas, but some of them are going to come here to Iowa, and that's going to happen over and over and over. And if we don't have staff specifically focused on implementing ADAPT DSM, I don't think it's going to happen. I think this is terribly short-sighted. Scott, I think this could be a big career mistake, quite honestly, and you've been such a supporter up until now. I know you've got to cut things, but, what about, are there some bloated executive salaries we could cut? Can we give some early retirement and severance packages to some people who've been here long enough? I mean, we need young blood.
Michael Farley.
Thank you.
Michael Farley. I'll do it one more. Michael Farley is here.
Good evening. Michael Farley, 3221 Southwest 33rd Street in Des Moines. I will not be as informed as the previous speakers, but I do want to say that on behalf of people who are not as engaged, it seems that the city always wants civic engagement. In a month, there's going to be calls, there's going to be meetings on budgets, financing. You want the citizens' input. And it seems in this regard, we gave it to you, and we're just getting the rug pulled out under us. Sheila is absolutely correct. If you don't have a coach, a coordinator, you can't have a program across an organization as complex as the city of Des Moines, in my opinion. What does it say when people in the various departments across the city are tasked with fulfilling ADAPT DSM in their areas of expertise? How committed are they going to be to energy conservation, electrification, decreased greenhouse gases, if they saw that the people who were tasked to do that are gone? I mean, I don't get it. The other thing that I wanted to say is, I know that there's a budget crunch. To me, the $400,000 savings that you get from last Friday to July of 2026 is not, in my opinion, defensible, considering the importance of the sustainability work that needs to be done. In that regard, I think that the speakers before me and probably the speakers after are going to say, what you folks can do to reconsider this decision needs to be done. It needs to be done in public. It needs to be done in a stepwise approach, and we need to know what's going to happen and when, so we can weigh in. Thank you very much.
Gary Johansson. Carrie Johansson. Carter Yurkus.
Hello, my name's Carter Yurkus. I'm in Ward 3 at 686 18th Street, and I'm also here in support of keeping the Sustainability Department. I cannot speak much to the ADAPT DSM plan or how the department helps them. I think there are much better speakers tonight to talk about that. What I want to talk about is an anecdotal evidence of how they helped me when I tore up my entire yard and I put in all native grasses and plants. The very next spring, my neighbors complained, code enforcement came out, got a letter saying, what are you doing? Why aren't you mowing? Why aren't you cutting down your stems? Everything like that. I was able to reach out to the Sustainability Department, and they were able to give me advice on how to proceed and how to deal with another department. So as you mentioned, Mr. Sanders, there are subject matter experts in other departments, but they were not able to help me. The subject matter experts in the Sustainability Department that are truly experts in that field were able to help me when no other departments could. So I would urge you as a council to please consider keeping this department. It helped me as a citizen, and I'm sure it will help others. Thank you.
Thank you. Laura Faraci.
Oh, good evening. I hope everyone's staying warm. Our cities are the global engine for growth, but are also on the front lines of climate crisis. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, sorry, my name is Laura, I'm in Ward 3, Laura Faraci. According to NOAA, climate-related disasters cost the U.S. about $150 billion a year. That is surely going to go up after the fire in LA and the flooding in North Carolina. I want to look at another budget item, the DMPD. They take up about 40% of our budget. This is compared to Denver, 17%, Boston, 16%, and our close neighbor, St. Louis, 27%. The office that you're getting rid of takes up $271,000 of the budget, kind of like loose change. And it's not just that the police budget is so big, but they cost us in other ways. For instance, $2.4 million for sexual harassment and abuse within the organization. $2.2 million since 2018 for bad policing and bad stops. And there's more on the way. We know that in litigation. As a mom and a grandmother, I'm very concerned about our kids and the future of climate change. That our own city would drop the ball is really irresponsible. It's mind-boggling, actually. To cut something so important, in my opinion, is a dereliction of your duties. On climate issues, what you do makes a difference. And now you have to decide what kind of difference you're going to make. And lastly, I wonder how much money that city's going to have to pay out for the murder of Trevante Jenkins.
Garland Armstrong.
Happy New Year, everybody. Garland Armstrong, Ward 2. My biggest concern is I was at the Hy-Vee downtown Court Avenue, and when I went in there, the Starbucks thing, when you come right in, it's blocked right there, and people with disabilities can't even get access going right there through the store area. That means they would have to go through the garage, and I would like to know, why weren't we notified that they was going to put up the window or door thing right there, and you can't even get access? No one wasn't even notified of it right there at even the residents here in the downtown area, Hy-Vee, especially those with disabilities, when they go in there shopping, they would have to go to the garage. And who made this up? Because this is really appalling, especially for those with disabilities who if they go through the garage area, there might be some cars waiting to hit them, going right in there to the store area, and they need access going right there by 5th Avenue when they go in there, but now they can't even do that. So I would like you to talk to Hy-Vee and Starbucks, who decided to go ahead and do this, and it really irks me that they want to pull a fast one on it, and I know some of the disability community will be outraged when they go down there and see it firsthand like I did. They're going to say, Garland was right. What were they thinking of? And now's the time to talk to them, see why. Because they don't want to say nothing. I think you better talk to them and how they're going to work transparency. Since there's no transparency, no communication, you better do something fast. Or otherwise the ADA will say lawsuit might be coming, why they're doing this, blocking it, and no access going right there when you go in 5th Avenue, right in the Hy-Vee area, and have to use the garage area to get in. So that's what I have to say. And if you have any questions or concern about that.
We'll check on that, Garland. Jamie Nicolino.
Hello, my name is Jamie Nicolino, and I live in Ward 2. I'm a little under the weather, so my apologies here. I requested to address all of you to speak out, obviously, about the sustainability offices here in Des Moines. Climate and sustainability actions on a local level have a huge impact on our community. The people of Des Moines are actively looking for ways to be more sustainable within their own lives. I know this because I own and operate a successful sustainable living shop in Highland Park, also in Ward 2. And I have many conversations with my customers, a lot of whom I actually see here tonight, about what resources are available here in Des Moines for them to be more sustainable in and outside of their homes. Over the past 5.5 years that my shop has been open, many of those conversations that I've had with folks have been about how they wish our city leaders invested more of the city budget into making Des Moines a more climate-forward city, like Iowa City or Minneapolis, just to name a couple. We don't even have a city-funded curbside food composting service here in Des Moines, which is a huge loss. Y'all consistently talk about moving Des Moines forward, which I think is a beautiful thing that we need to focus on. However, eliminating sustainability jobs in the Office of Sustainability is making us take a huge step backwards as a city in a time when we cannot afford to do so. We're at a pivotal moment in this country where having local leadership who works to reduce their city's environmental impact is more important than ever. We cannot afford to abandon sustainability efforts here in Des Moines. Climate change is real, and it's wreaking havoc on our planet. The city of LA is literally still burning tonight as I'm standing here. Our winters here in Iowa and throughout the Midwest are getting more mild, which is not a good thing. Summers are getting dangerously hotter, storms are getting more severe, and they're happening more and more frequently, including the tornado that touched down here in Des Moines. Sustainability must be a part of every single conversation that we're having about urban planning, growth, and development. And instead of making cuts to this office, y'all should be finding money in the budget to further grow our sustainability efforts. Asking for organizations and nonprofits to pick up the weight of these eliminated positions is absolutely unacceptable. They already have enough on their plates and aren't getting paid enough to do the work of the city on top of their existing workloads. Balancing a city budget is complicated. We absolutely understand that. But we urge you to please be responsible with our city funds, and instead of cutting the 0.03%, is what I read, of the total city budget from an office that actually has a direct impact on the quality of life for residents and wildlife here in Iowa, perhaps consider cutting it from the millions that are being spent on the new police office building and parking lot, or the soccer field, the airport terminal, all of the downtown developments, because none of these additions are going to matter if the people of Des Moines don't have clean water to drink and air to breathe.
Katie Doss. Katie Doss. Katie Doss. Deborah Neustadt.
German pronunciation. My name is Deborah Neustadt. I live at 620 36th Street. I think that's Ward 3. So I just go and vote. I don't care what the things are named. So I'm glad to know it's Ward 3. My son lives on East 33rd over by the fairgrounds, and he supports my coming here tonight. I'm against eliminating the Office of Sustainability and eliminating the 2 staff people. The City Council should reverse the action of the city manager. And I want to thank the people that have informed the public of what happened. I know I've gotten emails from a lot of organizations. Carolyn really helped a lot. So I appreciate that. I've been active on water issues, and I haven't been a part of all this planning and all the stuff that has gone on. But when I moved here in '83, I thought Des Moines was what place that took a problem and decided to solve it. And this is not that. I hope you all believe that there is such a thing as climate change, and that what we have now, it's going to get worse. We have floods in Iowa all the time. It's going to happen again. When the derecho came through, my power was knocked down. There was an old tree down the street that fell over, and all of the electric lines for 3 houses came off of their house because of that derecho. And that night, I didn't have air conditioning. My son had a problem sleeping. And I've lived in communities where heat has caused deaths. So I do believe that this can happen here in Des Moines, that we could have a heat wave that would result in people dying. And I think it behooves the city of Des Moines to take responsibility to do better than other communities that don't have an Office of Sustainability to do that. So I urge the City Council to reverse the decision of the city manager. I don't believe that eliminating 2 positions and spreading out the tasks is going to happen. Aren't you going to decrease the employees over all the departments? So there are challenges ahead. And just as a person who's really a water person, today I got an email from an organization that highlighted their information, and they said, as cities increasingly contend with water quality and water quality challenges.
Thank you. David Tom. David? Is David here? David Tom?
My name is David Tam. I'm a Ward 3 resident. In the depth of the Depression, the eminent Supreme Court Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr., in response to a complaint by one of his law clerks, "I just hate to pay taxes," refuted him by saying, "Taxes are the price we pay for civilization. I like to pay taxes." That's something that is probably congenial to the viewpoints that I understand are being expressed, and probably here on the city council. But I will say that sustainability is an essential government function, and it, like any other function, it requires coordination, and it's going to be an increasingly urgent responsibility that your city, the largest in Iowa, needs to take the lead on. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike Cromatina. Mike Cromatina, you want to come on up?
Thank you for this opportunity to speak in favor of retaining the Sustainability Department and the 2 staff positions. First, I recognize that the budget problem that you are facing is not a problem created by you, not by the mayor, not by the council, not by the management. It was created by Governor Reynolds and an irresponsible, fiscally reckless legislature that is implementing tax policies that are punishing and unfair. Thank you for, I know you have the task of grappling with it, but it's not, the cause was not caused by you. As you make these budget decisions, I hope you'll keep in mind what Des Moines voters support. You might be getting the wrong message from national elections where voters voted for the Trump administration that says that climate change is a hoax or Chinese disinformation. You might Or he might get the wrong message from the last state elections where Governor Reynolds made no commitments to prepare Iowa for climate change with a land use, water, or soil conservation agenda. But don't be lulled into thinking your voters don't feel strongly about these climate and environmental issues. Don't be fooled. Des Moines voters voted overwhelmingly against the Trump agenda. Des Moines voters did not support the Reynolds agenda. And on strictly conservation votes, like the Polk County Conservation Bond referendums twice, and the Iowa National Resources and Outdoor Recreation Trust Fund, Des Moines voters supported those issues well over 60%. This is what your voters support. Des Moines voters want to see preparation for the tornadoes, the droughts, and the floods that are becoming increasingly common in Iowa. I hope you can find a way to keep this small financial commitment in your budget and to continue to make progress on the Climate Action Plan. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Anna Snyder.
Hi, good evening. My name is Anna Snyder. I live in Ward 1, and I'm a junior at Drake University studying environmental sustainability and business. And I'm here to advocate against the elimination of the Sustainability Office here in the city of Des Moines. I'm originally from rural Illinois, and I moved here in August of 2022 to start school, and I currently live just off Drake's campus, and I'm lucky enough to call Des Moines my second home. Des Moines is a really easy city to fall in love with parks walkable from almost every house in the city, to being located on 2 major rivers, to the bustling downtown farmers market in the summer. I was even just walking around the East Village with one of my best friends the other day, talking about how lucky we are to live in such a beautiful city with things to do and people to see. Over the summer, I got to know the city very well, going to different neighborhood association meetings almost weekly for a research project. I found that every resident in Des Moines cares for their community, and their city officials do their best to care for them right back. When I heard the news of the Office of Sustainability being eliminated this past Friday, I was taken aback. That wasn't the Des Moines I knew. I thought I knew a Des Moines that pushed progress forward, that was growing and thriving and doing their best to clean up the environment. One that was actively working towards a better tomorrow. With the wildfires currently happening in California, I couldn't help but think of the potential environmental threats this city will face without guidance to improve sustainability of the community that we live in. Heat waves, extreme rains, severe storms, derechos, and flash floods have plagued this city for years. Those extreme weather threats are only increasing and will continue to if we don't take action to mitigate climate change. Local leadership against climatic and environmental crises is crucial to keeping the city as beautiful as it is. Any investment made towards sustainability makes Des Moines a safer, cleaner, and healthier city. And having local leaders who will help make those decisions is crucial to the success of those initiatives. I get told all the time that we need to get young people like myself to stay in Des Moines. We need people who are here to willing to fight for progress in all sectors. But as I look towards post-grad life, I see myself living in a city with clean water. And I see myself living in a city that feels safe to ride my bike around, and one that actively works to reduce emissions. And that is a future that I do not see happening in Des Moines without local guidance from an Office of Sustainability in this city. To keep young people in Des Moines, we have to have the freedom to flourish, as our governor likes to say. But without the ability to live in an environment that is safe, clean, and healthy, there is no freedom and no flourishing. Invest in sustainability and invest in the lives of your citizens. Thank you for your time.
I'm Jada Moresti. I live in Ward 1. I'm here to talk about homelessness, but I'm going to say a few things about sustainability. When you get the climate mayor to come out of retirement, you know you messed up. Someone said that the saved money from the 2 staff members that you laid off is $271,000. Pretty sure that's less than the city manager makes. And listening to the other public speakers, I noticed that a couple of our council members are having trouble focusing on public comment. I know I'm not allowed to make personal attacks, but Ward 2 and 4, those council members, would like to see your eyes on our speakers. Currently, the temperature outside is 18 degrees. The low tonight is 7 degrees. City's warming centers, which are public facilities open during the regular hours, will all close by 8 p.m. There's no place for people to go overnight that is publicly funded, with the exception of CIS, Central Iowa Shelters and Services. The summer 2024 PIT count, point in time count for homelessness, counted 729 unhoused individuals. If you talk to anyone working with unhoused people, they'll tell you that number is actually closer to 2,000. CIS's capacity for years has been reported as 150 beds for 2,000 people experiencing homelessness. Recently, CIS started saying that they have 247 spots, but that's not because they added more beds. It's because they're telling people to sleep in chairs or on the floor, which I guess is better than freezing to death outside, as many of residents have in the past. The city needs an overnight warming center that is accessible. There are a lot of reasons that people don't feel comfortable going to CIS. I know I've come up here and said these reasons to you before. Doesn't seem like you hear me, so I'm going to read the reasons again. Reasons that I have heard personally include there's a 6 p.m. curfew. People have their phones taken away. People are required to be sober, which is inaccessible for those struggling with addiction. People have abusers who are already in CIS. There's a limit on items that people can bring, and pets are not allowed. Each of these reasons are a barrier to people who need somewhere to go when it is deadly cold outside. You are the ones with the power to do something, and we need you to do something yesterday. It is way past time. Again, I'm not seeing everybody's eyes. It makes me think that you're not listening to me. CIS is not a one-size-fits-all solution. In fact, it's not a real solution for thousands of individuals who are sleeping in their car or sleeping in a tent in this bitter cold. My fellow residents and I spoke out very strongly against the ordinances that you passed in the fall, and we were told that more work was coming, that more progress was coming. We got 2 porta potties added downtown. The city chipped in a little bit of money, and fortunately a private donor kicked in some funds to add 3 outreach workers for a total of 4 to go out and serve these people. At this point, one of those positions is still vacant. And the city said, oh, we're going to not enforce these ordinances until all those positions are filled. But I'm hearing that the ordinances are already being enforced. People are receiving 72-hour notices, and that the city's going against its own word. So it's confusing to even know what's going on. And with both the issue of homelessness and climate change, what I'm seeing is a city manager that is running the city and not a city council. You all were elected to do good work, and you appointed a city manager who's telling you what to do. He's taking your power away. That is a person that is not directly accountable to the public, and it's really shameful to think that you might just allow him to continue to do whatever he wants with the city.
Lori Jones. Lori Jones? Oh, there. Okay, I didn't know if you were getting your code. You know?
My name is Lori Jones, and I'm at 401 half on 51st Street in Des Moines, which is Ward 3. And I read the article in the paper yesterday, and I was just very distressed about it. I have heard all these people talking very eloquently about the Citizens Task Force on Sustainability, and that we must keep this central office. We cannot just spread this out to departments because they have too many things to do. If you're familiar with, let's see, we must be thinking about the future. We can't concentrate completely on the present. And we should not be, let's see. Yeah, the people that are talking, Carolyn and Debbie and everybody has been talking very eloquently about this and explains it a lot better. I'm with I'm concerned about the transportation, the mass transportation. I'm concerned about DART. I'm on track right now, and I don't feel like I'm doing enough. As an individual, I take the bus quite a bit, and I donated my car to IPR, by the way, and I'm getting a lot of exercise. But anyway, I'm going to keep it short, and I'm just getting a little experience about talking in public. Thank you.
Thank you. Holly Hansen. Holly Hansen. Well, oh, that's what I'm going.
It's all right. Hi, my name is Molly Hansen. I live in Ward 4. I'm the president of the Indianola Hills Neighborhood Association, an adjunct professor at Drake University, and had the privilege of being part of the consultant team that developed ADAPT DSM, Des Moines' first climate action and adaptation plan. I was extremely disappointed and confused to learn that city leadership is attempting to undo years of community-led sustainability efforts. Starting in 2015 with the formation of a citizen task force on sustainability, it evolved into greenhouse gas emission reduction goals, a full-time sustainability manager position, a second position, and the creation and adoption of ADAPT DSM. Now, the two individuals who relocated their young families here to offer their time and talents to this community have been told without reason or warning that their positions are being eliminated. Financially, the sustainability program is fully funded through the fiscal year, with grants coming in to support additional work in the year after. Before you write us off as tree huggers, this isn't just about saving the polar bears and creating green jobs, although we want to do that too. It's coming in the form of insurance cancellations and dramatic increases in insurance and housing costs. Since 2018, more than 1.9 million home insurance contracts nationwide have been dropped. And in Iowa, we've experienced 51 presidential declaration disasters since 1990, most recently last summer, when severe storms caused flooding, straight-line winds, and tornadoes affecting our 4 counties, including this one. The U.S. News and World Report Healthy Communities Assessment gave Polk County an environmental score of 55 out of 100, citing issues with drinking water quality, access to green space, extreme heat days per year, area of tree canopy, air quality hazards, and flood hazard zones. We have 3 choices: mitigation, adaptation, and suffering. We're going to do some of each. The question is, what is the mix going to be? The more mitigation we do, the less adaptation will be required and the less suffering there will be. And I would be remiss if I didn't remind everyone in this room that our most vulnerable neighbors continue to be disproportionately impacted by the situation we find ourselves in today. By adopting a more holistic, systems-thinking perspective for both policies and practices, we can do better. We have a plan. We have trained staff to implement that plan. Please let them.
Hello, my name is Cameron LePage. I live in Ward 1. There's little I can say about the Sustainability Office that has not already been said today, so instead I want to talk a little bit about Des Moines. I grew up in a no-name suburb that's actually closer to Chicago than it is to Des Moines, but still, even growing up over there in the Quad Cities, I always kind of saw Des Moines as a sort of fantastical place where things happen and we always have a vision of the future. And moving there this past year, I actually haven't lost that vision yet. The fact is that the rest of Iowa looks to Des Moines for leadership, mainly because of our programs such as our sustainability program and our office and Adapt DSM. Des Moines is the city that takes action to solve the problems of its citizens. The rest of Iowa should be looking to the state government for that leadership, but instead of providing that leadership, unfortunately, they have chosen to take a crowbar to all of your knees and those of every other city in Iowa and capping the property tax rates and reducing their capacity to solve our problems. They are doing this, they are pitting our interests against each other, and that is wrong. And make no mistake, the elimination of the Sustainability Office, this is not just a symptom of the problem, this is the intended result of these tax rate caps. The state wants to eliminate Des Moines as a leader. They want to eliminate our leadership and the example that we set for our fellow citizens in the rest of Iowa. The fact is, if we decide to go forward with eliminating this office, aside from being a fiscally irresponsible move, one that does not save much money and jeopardizes millions of dollars in grants, we are caving to political pressure, and we are killing the spirit of Des Moines as a leader amongst Iowa cities, and we are setting a poor example for the rest of our state to follow. If Des Moines buckles on the issue of sustainability, what is to stop them from buckling on any other issue, such as homelessness or poverty or transportation or any of the other stuff that may be cut in the following year as a result of these tax caps? That is why it is important, more than anything, that Des Moines take a stand on this issue and save the Sustainability Office. I thank you for the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you. Adam Callahan.
Hello, my name is Adam Callahan. I live in Ward 3. I'm here today also with Des Moines People's Town Hall. I'm going to try to avoid repeating things other people have said. Everybody before me has made great points. I wanted to point out that we all know that there is a budget shortfall and that it is not really the city's fault. However, what's worth noting is that the city budget has been at issue for years. We've known that there's a looming budget pressure for years. For years now, specifically Scott Sanders at previous budget sessions has told this to people, has been very upfront about it. So the fact that this came through as a surprise, with no sort of public vote, no sort of warning, as far as we know, no discussion of council, that it's just something that, as far as we know, Scott Sanders just decided to do to a position that was fully funded through this fiscal year, which I know it's the start of the year, but the fiscal year goes through the year, for people that are not aware. It shows this was not just some drastic decision. It was done very poorly, and that's something that city manager is responsible for. That's a big part of his job, is proposing the budget, passing the budget, making the budget, and he's now put the city into a position where before any vote has been taken, before the budget has been proposed, these positions are already missing, and I'm sure it's harder to hire these positions and retain them. So the city council is now backed into a corner by this just frankly bizarre and troubling move from city manager Sanders. I also wanted to talk about part of the reason why I believe this was done in this weird way without any public vote, without any warning. And it's because before this was announced this weekend, there were 3 people signed up to speak at this meeting. After it was announced, now we hit the maximum number of speakers allowed by the rules, which is 20. They knew there was opposition to this, and they wanted to push this through before anybody had a chance to comment. And now they've done that. I'm hopeful that the city can undo this mistake that was passed without, again, any sort of public vote, and find a different solution, because we know this is not going to solve the budget shortfall in any way. We also know there's a lot of projects, a lot of mentioned. One I haven't heard mentioned is the Central Iowa Water Trails project that the city has been supporting. Supposed to build up things along our river here. If we don't have things like a sustainability department working to keep our river clean, that project is not going to be successful. And that is a huge project in addition to the ones that have already been mentioned. I also wanted to just mention that I'm glad some people have come today to speak, said a lot of wonderful things. People are getting informed, people are speaking up. That alone will not save our city from these kind of drastic moves being done by unelected officials. We need to also, if you couldn't speak today, reach out to your officials. We need to be organizing and running candidates. We need to be taking over these seats and making sure that we can make this city what it needs to be. Thank you.
Mayor, I'll move to receive and file 49A through T.
Okay.
I will second that, but
Okay, please take a vote.
yeah. And I would like an
Motion carries.
opportunity to
We are
address
gonna-
some of the comments that
I think
Scott.
that we're going to do it at the budget hearing. We have not even had the budget proposed to us yet. So I think the time is during that, is at the appropriate time.
I'll make a motion to adjourn, Your Honor.
Sanders is allowed to speak. Why can't Mandel?
Yeah, let him speak. Because we are talking about, there's a way the study is set up. We're not speaking at this time.
I didn't even vote for him, but please let him speak.
This is not a time, we have said we're going to have it in the budget hearing.
We're all here.
It is not
There's a motion on, there's a motion on the table. Carl seconded it.
Let him speak.
There's not a motion on the table. We hadn't finished voting on to receive and file the last set of comments.
We just did.
We did vote on
I haven't voted on
He
that
hasn't
yet.
voted yet.
I am
Okay, we know that we haven't even seen the final budget. We haven't had final discussions, and we will do that where we have opportunity for people to hear us talk about the budget in total. And that's what we are planning to do.
They've already been laid off.
That doesn't, at this point, we have said we have not even got the final budget yet. It is the manager who is over that. We have 3 employees as the city council. So it is an issue of, we have heard from people tonight. We are going to have more opportunity for people to speak. So I think we already know, because we are trying to get this done where we give everyone an opportunity to speak and hear. I understand that, but we have a motion on the table. This is a time where we get to hear everybody at the same time, and we have a meeting where people have an opportunity to come speak. You came to speak on an item, reacting to an article.
Well, I do think I get the right to speak on, if I choose to, on the item that is up for a vote, which is to receive and file the comments that we have heard. And I would like to comment on the comments that we have heard before I make my vote on that.
Fine. Go ahead.
And I understand that we will be having more conversation about this as part of the budget. I'm incredibly concerned about the process that led to this and what we are leaving on the table. And if we wait until, for example, our budget work session, which is scheduled for February 19th, one of the things that hasn't been discussed is that just last week, there was a notice for additional funding from ICLEI. And I know Mayor County has continued to work at ICLEI and to advocate for climate solutions and for cities like Des Moines to be a part of that. We have an opportunity by February 5th to apply for that funding. That funding the initial round would provide $250,000. Up to potentially $100,000 of that could be used to provide outside funding to support the sustainability office and let that work continue. And my hope is that we take steps that we can to, one, make sure that we apply for that funding, because that will also open up an additional $2 million that we are eligible for. So there are steps that we could take if we are committed to this work that would bring in outside funding that would allow us to continue doing this work outside of the tough budget decisions that we have to make. And if we're truly committed to looking at every option and exploring every option, that's something I hope we would do, and I hope the manager has a plan for that. I also want to point out that for us to have an informed budget discussion on the work of this office, it has been 14 months since we passed ADAPT-DSM. And we have not once heard an update as a council or had a work session on the work that's going into that. I don't know how easy that is to have now that the staff who were leading that work are no longer here, but that would have helped, and that type of thing would help us make an informed decision. This is the only area of the budget where we're not going to be able to access that type of information, and I hope there's a plan for getting that information and getting that type of conversation going. I think we owe it to our residents, and I hope we can do better than what we're doing to tackle these issues and find a way forward. I agree with much of what has been said. I appreciate folks coming out, and I'll continue to work on this however colleagues are willing to try and address this.
It's already been made clear that we're going, at this point, we are doing every effort we can, as we have had in the past, trying to get more grants that go towards not only just implementation, but administration. So that's another issue. But with that, I believe we have a motion on the table.
He's got to vote still for the last
Oh, you
vote.
still haven't? Okay.
7
with
yes.
that,
I'll make a motion to adjourn, Your Honor.
is there a second? All in favor of voice vote?
Aye.
Aye. This meeting is adjourned.
There's going to be